Hello, everyone. My name is Laurie Smith, and I'm doing 30 days for April National Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention and Awareness Month in the States. So it's day 11, and I'm glad to be here. We're talking about bullying tonight. We're just looking at all the different types of abuse towards children and talking about child abuse prevention, awareness, that sort of thing. It's not a fun topic, and so, I don't blame you if you just want to go watch something else. This is for people who care about children, who work to protect children, and, who want to know, how to protect children from abuse, right? So it's not a fun topic, and it's a serious topic. Um, so, I wouldn't blame you if you just decide you want to go listen to something else or watch something else. Um, I have a lot of like child advocates who watch my stuff, and also survivors of abuse. So that's my main audience, and other people who are just interested in just, maybe they care about children and they're just tuning in, right? So that's what this show is all about. I usually broadcast in April for the National Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, but I don't normally do 30 days in a row. So this is day 11, and we're going to continue on till the end of the month. 30 days. I figured, hey, I got 30 hours to contribute to this. I don't know how long I'll be able to do this. I've been speaking publicly as a child abuse prevention public speaker for since 2009. So, talking about my story and really just talking about the issues. What are the issues? You know, Dealing with child abuse, everything child abuse related, as well as adult survivors of child abuse related. So I've done a lot of talking, and as you can tell, I've got like, I don't know, probably close to 2,000 audios, videos that I've done. Some are half hour, some are an hour, some are an hour and a half. Just done a lot of talking about this. So, I appreciate everybody who's really taking the time to share my work, to, support me, and to do all you can to protect children from abuse. I really appreciate it. I'm a survivor of abuse, and I just love the work that's being done. I'm so thankful that there are people out there who are give their lives basically to try to stop child abuse and try to protect children. Like, it's just wonderful. So I appreciate it. And so we're just talking about bullying tonight. I found a couple of really good websites. I mean, there's a bunch of material out there about bullying, and this is a topic that we covered many times on AU4H radio, as well as some other not-for-profits that I was working with. And bullying really is a form of abuse, towards children, and it's usually perpetrated by children, usually their peers, so in their age group, or maybe a grade or two, you know, lower or higher, whatever. It's usually other children who are doing the bullying. Could be neighborhood children, school age children going to school and being bullied at school. Some people are, oh, I've got Jersey Girl Forever here. Hi, how are you? I hope everything's okay. Um, yeah, we're talking about bullying tonight, and I've got one website from the States and one from Canada. I put the links in the show page. Some good info there. There's all kinds of info on bullying, like I was saying, and there's just tons of resources for for youth and children who are being bullied, and you can now get help. Whereas in the old days, there was no help available, but now there's like in my when I was growing up, now there's lots and lots of help out there for children and teens who are experiencing bullying at school or bullying in their neighborhood or just bullying wherever, because it does happen. It does go on, obviously. And so, yeah, there's just lots of resources. This is just two websites I pulled up, one in the States, one in Canada, and they're both good and lots of good information. And we're just going to look at bullyingcanada.ca. Um, this one is a little bit shorter than the other one, but we'll just go through this one first. I'm just looking at the info. I'm not really reading the whole thing because it's just a lot of information, but and talking about it. Yeah, bullying is terrible. Especially if you're the recipient of the actual victim of the bullying, right? Uh, you know, no child should ever be bullied, and it does happen. I know I was bullied a little bit, and I was also a bully for a little bit, so I know both ends of it. Um, and you know, I never wanted to be like that. Growing up abused was not my mission to repeat the abuse that was going on in my home and hurt other people. But in order to protect myself outside of my home, because I was being abused at home, I actually did take on a bit of a it was a facade. It was like a, okay, I'm a bully, leave me alone. Because I didn't want people to, I didn't want to be bullied. I didn't want to be abused. But when I was really young, elementary school age, like probably, 9 or 10, right in there, I did have some situations where I was bullied at school. And it was actually scary because this one girl was really threatening, to beat me up, and was kind of waiting, like she wanted to kind of wait for me after school and threaten me and beat me up. And my sister actually went with me after school one time, and actually, she didn't do anything to this girl, but she did say, I'm gonna, actually that's probably one of the only times my sister ever did anything like that for me, which was really cool. She says, I'm gonna protect her. You're not gonna beat her up. So that girl actually left me alone. But it's sad to be on the other end of it. These children, so we're going to talk about what the issues are. What is bullying? And so this is Bullying Canada. What is bullying? So it says, what are the common types of bullying? First, we want to look at. Let me find this info here real quick. It said many children have a good idea of what bullying is because they see it every day. Bullying happens when someone hurts or scares another person on purpose, and the person being bullied has a hard time defending themselves. So everyone needs to get involved to help stop it. Bullying is wrong. It's a behavior that makes the person being bullied feel afraid or uncomfortable. And there are many ways that young people bully each other, even if they don't realize it at the time. And some of these include punching, shoving, or other acts that hurt people physically, spreading bad rumors about people, keeping certain people out of the group, teasing people in a mean way, and getting certain people to gang up on others. And what are common types of bullying? Like to be the recipient of all that. Like, that's not okay, right? But people, sometimes children are involved in that stuff and they don't realize that that's even really wrong. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to be on the other side of that. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and see how you would feel if somebody was doing that to you. So what are common types of bullying? Verbal bullying, social bullying, physical bullying, cyber bullying. Um, Verbal bullying, name calling, sarcasm, teasing, spreading rumors, threatening, making negative references to one's culture, ethnicity, race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, unwanted sexual comments. Social bullying, mobbing, scapegoating, excluding others from a group, humiliating others with public gestures or graffiti intended to put others down. Physical bullying, that's hitting, poking, pinching, chasing, shoving, coercing, destroying, or stealing belongings. Unwanted sexual touching. Cyberbullying, using the internet or text messaging to intimidate, put down, spread rumors, or make fun of someone. I mean, all that, like, you think about the youth going through that, and how to defend themselves from it. You know what I mean? I remember being in junior high, so I was probably 11, and yeah, had to be 11 years old. And this one girl in my class wrote actually, we had to do a report for class, and we had to stand up in front and read it. And this one girl wrote a report about how much she hated me. And I was just shocked. I was like, I didn't know who this girl was. I didn't know, I don't even think I knew her name. I don't know what I did to offend her. Or I was actually pretty shut down at that time because I was being abused in my home. So you can see my school photos on my Born in Hell website. And I mean, I was just kind of like this blank face all the time, not really showing any emotion. I was just shut down after, coming through so much abuse. And it really freaked me out that she would do this. And the teacher got really upset at her, stopped her before she could get any further in the letter, and gave her an F, of course, for the actual report. I think she was reprimanded for it, I'm sure. It really made me feel horrible to know that somebody, like in the class, who I didn't even know, um, would get up there and stand up there and say how much they hated me. And I'm like, what did I do to you, man? I didn't. I'm just sitting here trying to exist in this stupid school. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I doing? So After that happened, my best friend, who actually got killed, my friend Arlene Grego was killed and hit by a car. I wrote about that in my book. She actually she felt really bad for me because she heard about what had happened. She wasn't in my same grade, so she wasn't in that class with me. She was in the next grade up. So um, she actually put a rumor around the school that I was really tough, actually not to mess with me. And so people started to leave me alone. So that's kind of where that all came from. I think my friend was sticking up for me. Um, and I mean, that's just wrong because I actually was, um, I mean, I could defend myself, but the thing is I was not a violent person. Growing up in a violent home, I did not want to be a violent person. Like, I hated violence. I hated watching my parents fight and the violence in my home. I hated watching the violence between my dad and my brothers. Um, you know, I hated the violence on my street, like violence everywhere, and in my home and outside my home. So, you know, I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be like that. And I think I was a little bit different because I was abused as a child and sexually abused as a child. So, I had no real social skills and didn't really know how to talk to people. I had a couple of friends who really understood me, and they didn't care that I was a little strange. Um, you know, and I even had some other friends at school that didn't know I was being abused at home who were good to me. So I think they kind of felt sorry for me or something. And so, I mean, I had a few little friends, which was great. And but I didn't want to be that person, to be the one to um, continue the violence on that I had been living in, being forced to be a part of, growing up in a violent home, right? So I hated violence. So, it was hard for me to defend myself because I don't like violence. I hate it. And but if I have to, I can. You know what I mean? But it's not something I just go around pushing people around until I got older. And when I got to be and started doing drugs and stuff, when I was about 13, 14, I took on kind of a whole new attitude. Um, I think that it had a lot to do with some of the neighborhood kids that I was hanging around with. They were younger than myself, and we were kind of like just punks, hanging around on the street. Um, and we kind of became the bullies. Not horrible bullies. One of my friends actually did sort of bully a couple of neighborhood girls that lived in our neighborhood. And I didn't really want to be a part of that, you know what I mean? But I was hanging around with this girl, and there, so I don't, I just kind of went along with it. I wasn't really responsible for the bullying, but I was kind of like I was there, so I was part of it. And I didn't stop my friend. I mean, my friend really felt bad about that later in life. We talked about it, and she was like, I was horrible, to those girls. And she goes, I don't know why I did that. She grew up in a violent home, abuse, alcoholism, and the two of us were coming from bad situation, and I think a lot of times that's the case, right? So it's these bullies out here, are actually just big cowards, is what they are. Um, they say here, what are some of the side effects of bullying? And so some people think bullying makes people upset. It can make children feel lonely, unhappy, and frightened. It can make them feel unsafe and think there must be something wrong with them. Children can lose confidence and may not want to go to school anymore. It may even make them sick, of course, just from being, nervous and uptight. And people who are being bullied, I mean, that's abuse. It certainly is. And when it's coming from your peers who coming from people around you in school or whatever in your neighborhood, peers that are around you that, you just want to be included. You want to be accepted. All kids want that, I think, for the most part. It's just something naturally about our human existence. We want to be included. We want to be accepted for who we are. Yeah, we're all different. We all need to support each other's differences and try to help each other to get through life, not hurt each other. And I think they said like this is what I think almost all human beings just want. You know what I mean? And children are no different. They don't realize that that's what they're doing at that age, but but that's just naturally what's going on, right? They want to fit in with their families. They want to fit in. They want to be accepted, included, right? I think everybody does. It's just not. It's just the way we are. Some people think bullying is just part of growing up in a way for young people to learn to stick up for themselves. But bullying can have long-term physical and psychological consequences. And some of these, I mean, this is a serious issue. Some of these include withdrawal from family, school activities, wanting to be left alone, shyness, stomach aches, headaches, panic attacks, not being able to sleep, sleeping too much, being exhausted, nightmares. If bullying isn't stopped, it also hurts the bystanders as well as the person who bullies others. Bystanders are afraid they could be the next victim, even if they feel badly for the person who's being bullied. They avoid getting involved in order to protect themselves or because they aren't sure what to do. Or maybe they just don't want to lose status with that bully friend, right? So much, a lot of this stuff just has to do with what do you call that? It's like that peer. We want to hang around with the cool kids, you know. So if the bully's cool, then the people that are hanging around with the bully, um, they don't want to say anything because then they'll lose status with the cool kid. You know what I mean? And they're hanging out with the cool kid or whatever, right? So it's just sad. And I'm glad that there's a lot of work being done now to prevent this sort of thing. Children who learn they can get away with violence and aggression continue to do so in adulthood. They have a higher chance of getting involved in dating, aggression, sexual harassment, and criminal behavior later in life. So bullying can have an effect on learning. Stress and anxiety caused by bullying and harassment can make it more difficult for kids to learn, and it can cause difficulty in concentration and decrease their ability to focus, which affects their ability to remember things they've learned. It's a serious issue for kids, right? Bullying can lead to more serious concerns. Bullying is painful and humiliating, and kids who are bullied feel embarrassed, battered, and shamed. If the pain is not relieved, bullying can even lead to consideration of suicide or violent behavior. And that's a big, big problem. And we've seen a lot of headlines roll out about children who have committed suicide because they were bullied at school. And I mean, just bullied so bad that they stopped going to school and they just killed themselves. I mean, that's what bullying does. It's the same as abuse. It's the exact same thing. Um, you know, so I don't know why they don't call it just terrorizing or abuse. Bullying just makes it sound like, oh, kids just bullying, having fun, whatever. It's like the parents are like, whatever, so what, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a big deal when somebody's doing this stuff to you and you feel that you have no way to protect yourself. It's the same as being abused in a home, where somebody in your home is abusing you. There's no way to protect yourself. You just have to take it, right? That's awful. That's like no child should ever have to go through that. That's why we're covering this topic because it is abuse, no doubt about it. It's just peer abuse, kids abusing other kids. Kids can abuse too, right? So, and they do. Right? And it's just sad because the bully thinks that they're so tough and everything, but they're actually the coward in the situation. And the cool kids that think they're so tough are actually the idiots in the situation. I mean, I can speak from personal experience because I know I was the jerk, driving around, thinking I was so cool, flipping people off 16 years old, with a bad attitude and a chip on my shoulder. I wrote about that in my book, A Life of Death and Redemption. And, it's really no wonder because of the way I grew up that I ended up that way. That was me. That was me saying, you know, screw it, right? If I am bad and I've been told that I'm just worthless and I'm bad and I'm, you know, no good and I'm evil or whatever, all the stuff that I was made to listen to growing up and then beaten and abused and sexually abused, I thought, well, then I'm bad. I'll just be bad. You know what I mean? And I really could have got myself in some serious trouble. I almost did several times, including almost killing my friends and myself in a bad car accident. But, the thing is like, we're driving around the city of Albuquerque terrorizing, just not just me. It was a whole group of people, like a gang. I mean, we were all hanging out together. And I mean, it was really minor compared to the stuff that's going on today. I mean, we look back and we're like, well, we weren't that bad. We weren't really trying to necessarily hurt anybody. We were just being tough. We were like, oh, we're so cool. Nowadays, people are, killing people, stabbing people, shooting people, um, a lot of property damage and stuff like that, which we really weren't doing. Um, so actually, our stuff was pretty minor. It was not that big of a deal compared to what kids are doing today, what youth are doing today, which I would be appalled at. Like if I was, you know, I would be like, "Whoa, is that necessary?" You know what I mean? We didn't go around trying to kill people or this sort of thing. Threatening to kill people. Um, we were just out having fun, but we were like the cool kids, right? And it was like we thought we were. Okay. Now later on, you realize that you're just the stupid kids out there getting in trouble, and possibly could have got ourselves killed several times. Um, you know, and some of the situations, I laugh at because it was so insane. But the thing is it's not funny, and I wouldn't want my kids out there doing that stuff. You know, it's not okay what these kids are doing. I've seen some of this stuff. I mean, throughout my life now, 'cause I'm heading towards 60 years old, and I've seen some of these youth out here, and you see the attitudes, and you're just like you're heading for the biggest fall of your life, man. Somebody bigger than you is going to take you down. So you guys think you're all cool, but you will find out the hard way, and it's sad because most of them do. They end up they're either hurt, drug overdose, because they're partying too hard, car accidents, getting involved in illegal activities, getting arrested, doing jail time, prison time, all because they wanted to look cool. You know, had to be the tough kid, the cool kid. And I see some of this stuff, and I think, what kind of families did they come from? What kind of homes did they grow up in? Probably pretty close or worse than mine. This is what abuse does. And not everybody who's abused goes out to bully, that's for sure. But it can actually happen that some, if not, one of the children growing up in an abused home will take on that attitude. It's kind of like, I'm not going to be hurt anymore. You know, I'm going to be the one that hurts somebody else. I'm not going to allow anybody to hurt me. And it's that whole attitude like, well, I'm being hurt at home, so I'm not going to allow anybody to hurt me at school. And that's what the attitude that I took on. Because, like I said, elementary school, I was kind of picked on and bullied. Um, I was kind of a weird kid, so obviously I took a lot of kind of weird bullying. Um, and I didn't fit in. Like, I didn't fit in with anybody. My parents were Canadian. I was wearing plaid to school. You don't send your kids in plaid. Nowadays, maybe it's cool, but not in those days. Mm-mm. And that's what my mom would buy me, stuff like that, stuff from like 1950 Nova Scotia, you know, and it was 1975 New Mexico, and you just didn't wear stuff like that to school, but I had to because that's the only clothes I had. So I was bullied a lot for my clothes, for my hairstyles. That's why I don't care. Like, if you don't like my hair, don't watch my show. I really don't care. It's not about my hair. I'm trying to I'm making a point here with what I'm talking about. I wouldn't be doing this otherwise. I've got better things to do. I study languages and all sorts of stuff. Play guitar. I'm busy. But the thing is I care about children. So I'm being honest here and being real. And kids will hurt kids over so many things. The way they dress, the way they look. And that's what they talk about here in this website. And, and these kids end up feeling so ashamed about themselves, even though it's not their fault. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. But yet they take on this shame from being bullied, and many of them kill themselves. I mean, I was suicidal, but not because of people bullying me in elementary school. I was suicidal because my parents were bullying me at home. I mean, it was brutal, let me tell you. And it wasn't just bullying, it was flat out abuse, you know? So I know what it's like to be suicidal as a young person, just wanting it to be over, wanting to be out of the pain. Especially if you're, now let's say you're being bullied at school, but you're not being abused at home. But let's say you have parents who actually kind of don't really care. They're not abusing you, but they're like, that's just something you're gonna have to learn to deal with. So you're sitting in your room and you're thinking, who's gonna help me? My parents aren't gonna help me. You know, who's gonna help me? And they feel lost, and a lot of them end up killing themselves. So it's so important to watch out for bullying if you have children, to make sure that they're not the bullies, and also to make sure that they're not being bullied, right? So important, right? Because this is deadly, absolutely. How common is bullying? In Canada, they said at least 1 in 3 adolescent students have reported being bullied, and almost half of Canadian parents have reported having a child that is the victim of bullying. Now, that's insane, but that's true. Um, they said that studies have found bullying occurs once every 7 minutes on the playground and once every 25 minutes in the classroom. That's insane, you know? In the majority of cases, bullying stops within 10 seconds when peers intervene or do not support the bullying behavior. So, what can I do right now in my community? So there's ways you can get involved. We're not even going to talk about that stuff. But there's lots of ways you can get involved, especially if you have children. If you don't have children, whatever. But the issue is this is just another form of abuse, and so that's why we're covering it, because a lot of people don't think this is a big deal, but it is when you see the headlines roll out that a child has committed suicide at the age of 10 years old because they're being bullied, or a 14-year-old girl, or a 17-year-old boy, who's just been bullied horribly, for whatever reason, and they take their own lives. And, that's just not okay, right? We have to be aware of this stuff. Bullying and trauma. This is stopbullying.gov. So this is down in the States. Bullying /bullying and trauma. Bullying and trauma. Bullying can have lasting impacts on everyone involved. The person being bullied, bystanders who witness the bullying, and the person who bullies others. It's considered an adverse childhood experience, ACE. ACEs are potentially traumatic events that can have negative lasting effects on a person's development, the way they interact with others, and how they perform in school. So research has shown that children reporting more ACEs may be more likely to exhibit bullying behavior. And so they go on to talk about trauma. Um, let's see, what is bullying? No, we went through that on the other website, so we won't recover that here. I just want to see if there's any more info that they've got. And they said, on this website, they say bullying is unwanted, aggressive behavior among school-age children that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. So the behavior is repeated or has a potential to be repeated over time. And both kids who are bullied and who bully others may have serious lasting problems. In order to be considered bullying, the bullying must be aggressive and include an imbalance of power. So kids who bully use their power, such as physical strength, access to embarrassing information, or popularity, to control or harm others. So power imbalances can change over time and in different situations, even if they involve the same people. Repetition. Bullying behaviors happen more than once or have the potential to happen more than once. Bullying includes actions such as making threats, spreading rumors, attacking someone physically or verbally, and excluding someone from a group on purpose. So we did all the types of bullying. Frequency, so they talk about all that. This website actually has a lot more to say about bullying. Why some youth bully. Uh, They say here, children and teenagers who feel secure and supported by their family, school, and peers are less likely to bully. However, some youth do not have these types of support, and every individual is unique, and there are many factors that can contribute to bullying behavior. A youth who bullies may experience one, several, or none of these contributing factors. So peer factors, some youth bully to attain or maintain social power, or to elevate their status in the peer group, to show their allegiance to and fit in with the peer group, to exclude others from the peer group to show who is and who's not part of the group, and to control the behavior of their peers. So, and they said family factors. Some youth who bully, and I mean this isn't all, but they said some. Some come from families where there's bullying, aggression, or violence at home. May have parents and caregivers that do not provide emotional support or communication. May have parents or caregivers who respond in an authoritarian or reactive way. May come from families where the adults are overly lenient or where there is low parental involvement in their lives. So they're just allowed to do whatever they want, right? Um, Emotional factors for some youth who bully. They may have been bullied in the past or currently, have feelings of insecurity, low self-esteem, so they bully to make themselves feel more powerful. I think that's a lot of it. They do not understand others' emotions. They don't know how to control their emotions, so they take out their feelings on other people. And they may not have skills or handling social situations for handling social situations in healthy, positive ways. And it's terrible. But there's kids out here who are bullying, don't realize that they're also the victim in this, because their bullying is just going to get them in trouble, because there's always somebody bigger. There's always somebody bigger. So one day they're going to bully the wrong person, and that person's going to show them just how sorry they're going to be for bullying them. And it's true, but this does happen. You know what I mean? Because there's always a bigger fish in the pond somewhere. You know what I mean? For every tough person out there that thinks they're so tough, there's always somebody tougher to put them in their place. I've had this happen to me, so I know. And it's a real wake up call. It's kind of like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? I guess I'm not that tough, right? Um, and so it's real. They're setting themselves up for a fall. These bullies are. But the sad part is who knows how many people they've hurt with their bullying activities. And children, like, they take it to heart. Children, like I said, they're looking for acceptance. They're looking for, that involvement with their peer group, whoever these people are. And they don't want to be left out. They don't want to be singled out. And it's tough to be abused at school. And then you think, if I tell, then people are going to, if I tell somebody at the school that I'm being bullied, they're going to think I'm a wimp. If I tell my parents, maybe my parents won't care. Maybe they won't do anything, right? A lot of parents are like, well, you have to figure that one out yourself. You have to learn to fight your own battles, right? And then we end up seeing these headlines where children have killed themselves because they've been bullied. This is a very serious injury, serious issue, and I mean it is abuse. Absolutely, it is. It's just pure abuse. So it's just really sad that people do this stuff. I know for me, I was just copying a lot of my parents' behaviors when I was young. Like I had a situation where this little kid flipped me off, and he was just joking around. He was a neighbor friend, and we were a few blocks away from our home, and I was coming home from school. And he flipped me off and he ran. Well, I chased him down and slapped the shit out of him. You know what I mean? I was only a couple years older than him, but I was like, that's what my mom would do to me. So I'm like, well, you're just going to get some of what I know. And I felt bad about it. I really did. Like later, you know what I mean. And I actually talked to him when we were adults, and I said, I'm really sorry. I'm really really sorry I did that to you because, that wasn't right. And he was like, I never held that against you. And he said, yeah, I kind of knew what kind of home you grew up, so I knew, you know, I knew probably shouldn't have messed with you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, because I used to kind of be a little bit, like that. Only if people did something to me. I'd never go bother people who didn't do something to me, right? But I was always kind of like, you didn't want to mess with me too much, right? It just wasn't a good idea. And today, I'm just an adult who stands up for my rights. Absolutely. I'm not a bully, you know what I mean? But I just stand up for my rights. That gets me in a little bit of trouble because people don't like that. It doesn't matter where you're at. People don't like people who stand up for their rights. They just want to be able to push you around. And I'm like, doesn't work with me. Sorry. Grew up abused, not taking it anymore. So you learn after a while. You do have to stand up for yourself, but in the right way, you know, in the right way, not by bullying somebody or abusing somebody, taking your garbage out on somebody else. You just learn how to be good to people, how to treat people right, and expect that they need to do that back to you. And that's that mutual, treating people with mutual dignity and respect. And that's a good person that does stuff like that, not a cowardly bully, right? So these young people that go around bullying, I mean, they're just hurting themselves too. But they don't realize it. They're hurting some other people, their children, but they don't realize that they're actually hurting themselves as well. Right? And that's sad because it affects everybody in that family and in that area. And people grow up with this stuff, and then it could affect their adult lives. If they were just bullied so horribly as youth, they may have taken that right into their adult lives because that's what abuse does, right? So it's just terrible. Effects of bullying. That's on this website, stopbullying.gov. It's a good website. There's lots and lots of info here, all about all sorts of stuff, which we're not even going to get into. They've even got stuff on cyberbullying. I mean, everything. So we're just looking at a little bit here. We don't have time to cover too much. Kids who are bullied, yeah, like they may become depressed, anxiety, increased feelings of sadness and loneliness, and these issues may persist into adulthood. See, so it's a real problem, right? And suicide is a real problem for them. Media reports often link bullying with suicide. However, most youth who are bullied do not have thoughts of suicide or engage in suicidal behaviors. Well, that's just not true because we've seen so many reports come out where the the parents, the media got a hold of the information about those children, and it was found that they were being bullied, and that's sad. So it does happen. They want to make it sound like it doesn't happen, but it does. And although kids who are bullied are at risk of suicide, bullying alone is not the cause. So many issues contribute to suicide risk, including depression, problems at home, trauma history, and just all sorts of things can be an issue. Well, that's just it. And then children who are already having difficulties with stuff going on at home, or maybe they just with their own mental health, mental well-being, even if they're not being abused. Um, and then bullying just causes more and more problems, and that can be lead to suicide. So it does happen, and it's terrible. Some bullying actually turns into murder, and this has been seen. We've seen a couple cases here in Canada where that happened with teen girls who were bullying another girl and ended up killing her, and they were under the age of 18, so it was kind of an issue. Do they do time as adults, or they went to prison? They went to jail, and I think they were in detention until they hit 18, and then they went to jail. Uh, they were found guilty of murder. They stabbed a girl to death, and it was a bullying situation that got out of control. Really, I mean that's serious. You know what I mean? But this stuff does happen, and there was a there was also another situation of a young man who was homosexual. He was um, walking home, and he was killed. But he was a young guy. Like he was just a teenager. And he was killed by other teens. So it does happen. Bullying can lead to people getting, people taking it just too far, and it ends up in some sort of situation where somebody ends up getting hurt or somebody ends up getting killed, and then it's murder, you know. And it's just not okay, you know. It's really not. Making threats, this kind of thing. It's I remember being bullied, and I also remember being a bit of a bully and hanging around with bullies. So it's not good to be on either side of it, um, and it's not okay. I'm glad that my friend and I were actually called on it because we had been sort of picking on this girl on purpose just to see if we could get her to be upset. You know what I mean? To actually think that our threats were actually real because they weren't. We actually weren't really going to do anything. We were just going to see if we could get her to be upset about it, which was really stupid. I mean, we were all pretty young, but the thing is that's no excuse. But the issue is all these kids in high school, these friends of hers, actually met us after school, and they were like, "Well, if you're gonna beat her up, you're gonna have to like go through all of us, and we're gonna end up beating you up." So we were big time called on it by about 30 kids who were her friend, and I was like not upset by it. I was like, "Well, that's fine. Like we weren't gonna do anything to her anyway. It was just a joke." But the thing is I said, I'm actually really glad that you guys are here to stand up for her because I've never had anybody, that many people stand up for me. And it really turned my mind around on the situation, and it kind of woke me up. You know what I mean? So I think I had just turned 18 at that point. And it just really woke me up to what I had been doing. You know what I mean? I was using a lot of drugs at that time. I had been using drugs for years. And it just kind of woke me up like, hey, you know, look what you're doing. That's just stupidity. And we weren't going to hurt her. But the thing is, she didn't know that. See what I mean? We knew we weren't going to do anything to her, but she didn't know that. So that's what these bullies out here, they don't realize. The fear and the trauma that they cause, um, because it's a game to them. They just think it's funny. But if they were on the other side of that, they wouldn't like it very much, right? So that's what I say. Bullies are headed for a fall. And, so if you're a young person and you're being bullied, you get some help. You do not let yourself be bullied. Get some help. There's help out there. There's all kinds of help out there. You have to reach out. Tell people. Tell the teacher. Tell somebody. Tell somebody that you trust in your family. You know what I mean? Tell a family friend who's trustworthy. Tell a bunch of people. Actually, don't just tell one person. One person may not be able to do anything for you. So you tell a bunch of people that could possibly get you some help, and then you go online and you do the online stuff at these stop bully sites where you can get some advice and some help, right? Don't allow yourself to be bullied and abused. It's not okay. If you're listening to this and you're a young person, if you're a young person and you're listening to this and you're a bully, just realize that some bigger bully is going to come and teach you a big lesson at some point. You're going to fall. It's going to be a hard fall too, because it's hard. It's hard on a person's psyche when that sort of thing happens. It's like, oh, I am not really that tough. Okay, it's not fun. It's not fun to be on that end of it. To be shown what a cowardly person that you really are. Make you see yourself for who you really are. Just a coward, and that you hurt somebody instead of help them, or instead of being good to people, that you would hurt people. That's a very cowardly thing to do. And so it's not being tough; it's being cowardly. It's just that you don't start to see that sort of thing until you get older. you know. So I'm just telling you now, if you're a bully, you're just a coward, and you will end up paying the consequences for it. Sadly enough, it's true. It'll come back around, kick you in the behind, and your fall will be hard, definitely. So do all you can to protect people. The people that are out there protecting people, those are the cool people. People who are out there helping people, those are the cool people. Like the surgeons who, like for instance, the paramedics and stuff who go around helping people. I have a lot of respect for people who go around in ambulances and save people. Um, that's just their job. They get paid to do it, but they're out there saving people. Those are the cool people. The police officers that save people's lives every day. Those are the cool people. And these surgeons in these emergency rooms, people come in all sorts of bad situations, gunshot wounds, car wrecks, you name it, accidents, abuse. They come in and they do their best to save those people or those children. Those are my heroes because they work every day to try to help somebody. That's what they do. Now that's a true hero. That's a cool person. People that hurt people are just cowards and losers, no doubt. So, bullies are just losers who are going to find out that they're losers at some point, right? And, so if you're being bullied, you just remember that and get some help. So important, right? So what else do they have to say here? Stop bullying. This one has all sorts of information. Bullying and trauma, like we are talking, race, national origin, and religion, LGBTQI and youth, military connected youth, disabilities and special needs, other aggressive behavior. I mean, this just bullying stuff is just, it's anything anybody can use to bully another person with. Oh, well, if I had green hair, let's just say, somebody could be like, if I was a teenager with green hair, then somebody might be like, picking on me because I've got green hair. It's like, they just use anything. They don't care. You know what I mean? They don't really care what it is. People will just be hurtful and pick something out that they don't like about you. The reason that girl wrote that letter and said that she hated me in that class was because I had blonde hair. I can't help it if I got blonde hair. That's just the hair color I was born with. It's like not my fault. You know what I mean? And I was not a stuck-up little kid either because I was abused. You know what I mean? So I was shy and introverted, and I hated myself. I hated my body. And, I was quite often dirty and wearing dirty clothes or the same clothes weeks after week. And, really wasn't anything I could do about it. It was just being abused at home. So the thing is, then I got this girl saying she hated me because I had blonde hair and how much she hated me. She just went on and on. Teacher finally stopped her, got the paper away from her, and I think she sent her to she sent her to the principal's office. She got in trouble. Um, yeah, because she was talking all kinds of nasty stuff about me. I'm like, and I was just sitting there, just like, well, great. Now I'm being abused at home, and now I'm being, abused in school, which had kind of been an issue for me in elementary school as well. And so it's not, they'll use anything. It's not you. So in other words, if you were young and you were bullied, it's not you. It's them with the problem. It's not you, right? And so they'll pick on anybody for any reason, So it's just incredibly wrong. So it's just important to remember that if you're a youth and you're being bullied, you get some help. And if you're a bully, you stop it and you get some help because you need some help with your mental stability. Seriously, only people that are mentally ill go around bullying other people. I mean, seriously, it's not okay. Why would people think that's all right? The world's doing it, but the world is very mentally ill. If you haven't noticed, just take a look around. People are killing each other. People are doing all sorts of horrible things to each other. Assaulting each other, shooting kids. I mean, people are doing the most worst things, and it's like their mental health. It's not okay. You know what I'm saying? So that's what abuse is. It's just incredibly wrong, and there's so many people out there involved in this daily lifestyle of hurting people. It's kind of like, well, I'm gonna get up in the morning. Time to get up. I gotta start hurting people. That's what they do, and they do that right on until they go to bed at night. They just hurt as many people as they possibly can. Doesn't matter who. And I'm not talking just guys. I'm talking men, women, children. Everybody's doing it, and it's kind of like, well, that's just total mental health issues, right? But that's what the world is involved in. And it's a sick world we live in, right? So don't wrap yourself up and get involved in that crap. Just be better than that. You know what I mean? And I've worked hard my whole life to not be my parents, to not be my abuser parents and my abuser siblings. And it's I really never wanted to hurt anybody in my whole entire lifetime because I know what it's like to be hurt. And so when I got older and especially my 20s and stuff, I was like, I just need to be good to people. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be good. I want to have good relationships with people. I want to be good to people. I want people to be good to me. I just didn't know how to go about doing it because I had no experience of any normal experiences really in my lifetime except for a few friends. So it took me a long time, before I realized like how to do this stuff and you know and make amends along the way for people that I did hurt. And it's a horrible situation out there, and we all need to be supporting each other. This world would be so much better if people were supporting each other and not hurting each other. But everybody's just so into their own thing that they can't see that hurting people is wrong. It's kind of like, oh well, it's what everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? May as well just get involved and do it too. It's like, no, no, don't be part of that. Be part of the change that this world needs to see, which is, treat people with dignity as you want to be treated with dignity and common decency, right? I give that, but I also expect it back from people in my circles. If I don't get it, I kind of, I'm like, well, I'll give people sometimes a few chances, and then if it still doesn't come my way and I'm being decent to them and they're not decent to me, it's kind of like, bye. That's just how I am. And I have a very peaceful life, let me tell you. It's peaceful, because I grew up in hell and I refuse to keep that going. And I'm not going to allow anybody in my life that keeps that going. So, it's peace around me. It's peace in my walls. It's peace in my life. And it's a wonderful thing. Absolutely. And so, I refuse to allow abusive type people or bullying type people in my life, period. I don't care who it is, boss, coworkers. No, no, I'm just not doing it. I've got peace around me and peace in my walls, peace in my life, peace in my home, peace in my spirit, peace in my soul. After coming through horrible garbage and abuse my whole life, until I finally got away from my abusive family. Right? It's kind of like I leave the abusers behind, man. It's like, and then I was still carrying that garbage with me, until I started working through stuff at the age of 42. So 44 actually is when I really started. But, I'm glad at least I started because now, I've got peace in my heart, peace in my life, you know, and I can see the truth behind all of this stuff. Right? So it's really important. Be part of the change. Don't get involved. Don't be one of the bullies out here. Get involved and help somebody. Those are the true heroes in life. The cool people. The cool people are the people out there that are helping people. You know, that's the cool people, not the people that are hurting people. I hate violence. I hate violence with a passion, and so I do everything I can to counteract that. You know what I mean? And combat that with love, care, and concern. Treating people decently, and I'm just trying to do my part. That's all. And in turn, I expect that back. So I've got beautiful friends and decent relationships, and it's just a wonderful thing coming from horrible stuff. You know what I mean? So um, you have to make the choice of what kind of life you want to have, what kind of person you want to be. And if you're a young person, you're listening to this, you make those choices. You can't blame it on your past, and you can't blame it on anybody. You make those choices. So you need to make the right choices, right? And change your life, change your world, right? Change this world for other people. That's what we need. We need everybody doing it. So take care, everybody. Tomorrow night is institutional abuse. I'm pretty sure that's what we're talking about. Institutional abuse. And that's a horrific subject, but we're just going to keep right on going. This is Child Abuse Awareness Month. And so that's what I'm doing, 30 days. And you've got me for another 19. 19 more days. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. And have a great night, everybody. Take care.